You ever have one of those days where everything already feels heavy, and then someone comes along and makes it just a little worse? Yeah. This was one of those days. But what that guy didn't realize was that I had absolutely nothing left to lose that evening. Intro CT. Before we jump in, if you enjoy real-life revenge stories that slowly build and hit hard at the end, make sure you hit like and subscribe, because this one gets personal. This happened about 10 years ago, back when life wasn't exactly comfortable. I was working at this massive corporate company, the kind of place that looks impressive from the outside: glass buildings, huge parking lots, even a multi-level parking garage. But inside, it was just rows of cubicles, fluorescent lights, and people slowly draining their energy into headsets and screens. I worked in customer support, which basically means 4 8.5 hours a day. I got paid to listen to people complain, non-stop. My day usually started early, not because I liked mornings, but because if you didn't get there early, you'd spend 20 minutes just circling the parking lot like a vulture. There were never enough spots, ever. Even though the company kept expanding the parking area, adding new rows, building that garage, it still wasn't enough. And somehow, every single day, it felt like everyone showed up at the exact same time. So I adapted. I started leaving earlier than necessary. I'd grab a quick breakfast, usually something cheap, toast or a leftover sandwich, throw on my slightly wrinkled office shirt, and head out before the rush. That morning was no different. I remember it clearly because, for once, things actually went right. The parking spot, important detail. I pulled into the lot early. Plenty of open spaces. For a moment I actually felt relaxed. I found a good spot. Not too far from the building, not too close to the entrance chaos either. Perfect middle ground. Now here's something about me. I'm careful with parking. Not because I owned anything fancy, but because I knew what it felt like when people didn't care. So I always parked properly, right between the lines. That day, I even adjusted slightly. I positioned my car closer to the passenger side line, just to give myself extra room on the driver's side. So I could open the door comfortably later. It was a small thing, but after long shift, those small things matter. My car versus reality. Now let me paint the full picture. I wasn't driving anything impressive, not even close. It was an old Opel Corsa. Cheap, basic, no personality. The kind of car people barely notice. No shine. No status, just something that gets you from point A to B. Meanwhile, in that parking lot, you'd see everything: luxury cars, sports cars, brand new SUVs. People loved showing off there. And honestly, most days, I didn't care, because I had bigger things on my mind: bills, stress, work, life, work environment, emotional pressure. That day at work was brutal. From the moment I logged in, it was one call after another. No breaks between. No breathing room. Just voices. Angry voices. Complaining about things I had no control over. Why is this not working? Fix this now. I want to speak to your manager. Over and over again. You try to stay calm. You try to stay polite. But after hours of it, it starts to wear you down. Your patience shrinks. Your mood drops. And by the end of the shift, you're not really yourself anymore. You're just exhausted. Small frustrations, 6 to 8 build-up moments. And like every bad day, it wasn't just one thing. It was everything. My headset kept glitching, cutting out mid-call. The system froze twice while I was logging a complaint. Someone spilled coffee near my desk, and the smell just lingered. My lunch break got delayed because the queue was too long. When I finally ate, my food was cold. My manager walked by and reminded us about performance metrics. A customer yelled so loudly I had to pull the headset away. And toward the end, I got one of those calls, where someone just refuses to listen. That one broke me a little. Not visibly, but inside? Yeah. I was done. End of shift. Finally, after what felt like forever, my shift ended. 8.5 hours. I logged out, took off my headset, and just sat there for a second, silent, letting the noise in my head settle. All I wanted was to go home. No talking, no thinking, just peace. Walking to the car, I walked out of the building slowly. The air outside felt different, lighter, but I was still carrying that weight inside. Step by step, across the parking lot, I started mentally preparing for the drive home. Maybe I'd grab something to eat. Maybe just crash on the couch. Didn't matter. As long as I got there. The first sign something was wrong. And then, I saw it. At first, I didn't fully register it. Just something off. My parking spot. Or more specifically, the space around it. I slowed down, squinted a little, took a few more steps forward, and that's when it hit me. The antagonist appears. Slow reveal. There was a car next to mine. A Porsche. Clean. Expensive. Polished. The kind of car that practically screams money. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was how it was parked. It wasn't inside its line. Not even close. The right side of that Porsche was completely over the line. Into my spot. My space. The space I had carefully positioned myself for. That little extra room I gave myself earlier? Gone. Completely gone. Emotional reaction begins. I stopped walking. Just stared at it. For a second, I thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it just looked worse from a distance. So I got closer. And closer. And closer. Nope. It was real. This guy had parked so close that our side mirrors were practically touching. If mine hadn't been slightly angled, they probably would have. Internal conflict. And in that moment, after that entire day, something inside me started shifting. Because it wasn't just about the parking. It was everything combined. The stress, the calls, the exhaustion. And now this? Some guy with a luxury car, who couldn't even park properly. Or worse, didn't care. Building toward confrontation. I looked around the parking lot, half expecting the owner to show up. No one. Just rows of cars. And silence. I looked back at my car, then at his, then back again. And one thought kept repeating in my head. Cliffhanger end. So, this is how it's going to be? I took a deep breath, stepped closer to the tiny gap between our cars. And that's when I made a decision. One that would change the rest of that evening completely. So yeah. I made a decision in that moment. A small one. The kind that doesn't feel important at first. But somehow, ends up changing everything. Short CTA. If you've ever had one of those "I probably shouldn't do this" moments, hit like right now. Because this was mine. I stood there, staring at the tiny gap between my car and his Porsche. It wasn't enough space. Not even close. Normally, I would have just sighed, maybe taken a picture, complained about it later. But that day wasn't normal. That day I was running on frustration, on exhaustion, on the kind of quiet anger that builds slowly all day long, until something small pushes it over the edge. And that Porsche? That was the push. The decision. I looked around one more time. Still no owner. No movement. No sign that anyone cared. So I muttered under my breath, "Fine, we'll do it your way." I turned sideways, pressed myself into that narrow space, and started squeezing through. The first contact. My jacket brushed against his car first. Then my arm. Then my hip. I could feel how close it was. Too close. Unreasonably close. I reached my door handle, pulled it open carefully. Tap. A soft, almost polite sound. My door touched his. I froze. For a split second, I considered stopping, backing out, trying the passenger side instead. But then, I remembered my day. All those calls, all that stress, all that frustration. And something in me said, no. Justification. He parked like this, I thought. This is on him. So I pushed the door a little more. Not hard. Just enough. Enough to create space. Enough to get in. The second contact. I slid into my seat, pulled my legs in, and grabbed the door. But because of the angle, because of how tight everything was, the door didn't close properly. It stopped halfway. I sighed, annoyed, tired, done. So I opened it again. Tap. A little harder this time. And then, thud. It made contact again. More noticeable. More real. The moment after, I paused. Sat there in silence. Hands on the steering wheel. Staring straight ahead. That tiny voice in the back of my head? It spoke up again. You shouldn't have done that. But I ignored it. Because at that moment, it felt justified. It felt fair. It felt like a tiny act of balance in a day full of imbalance. Driving away, I started the engine, backed out carefully, making sure not to hit anything, and drove off. No drama. No confrontation. No one running after me. Nothing. Just silence. The first strange feeling, event 1. For the first few minutes, it felt normal. Just another drive home. But then, something weird started creeping in. That feeling. You know the one. When your brain replays something over and over again. Was that too much? Did I actually hit it hard? Did anyone see me? I checked my mirrors. Nothing. Just cars. Traffic. Normal life. Still. The feeling stayed. The first call. About 10 minutes into the drive. My phone rang. Unknown number. I frowned. I don't usually answer unknown numbers, especially after work. But something made me pick it up. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Calm. Too calm. Hey, you just left the parking lot, right? My grip on the steering wheel tightened. Who is this? A pause. Then, nice parking job earlier. Confusion begins. My heart skipped. What? I glanced at the rearview mirror again. Still nothing unusual. Cars behind me. No one following. Don't worry, the voice continued, almost amused. I saw everything. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? Another pause. Then, that little moment with the door. Panic starts. Now my mind was racing. How? Who? Where? I hadn't seen anyone. There was no one around. No witnesses. Right? I think you have the wrong person, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. A soft chuckle came through the phone. No, he said. I don't. Before I could respond, the call ended. Just like that. No explanation. No name. Nothing. Internal spiral. I stared at my phone. Heartbeat rising. What the hell was that? I checked the number. Unknown. No caller ID. I tried calling back. It didn't connect. Driving feels different now. Suddenly, the drive didn't feel normal anymore. Every car behind me? Suspicious. Every turn? Carefully watched. Every second? Heavy. That small decision in the parking lot didn't feel small anymore. The second event message. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, a message from a different unknown number. I hesitated, then opened it. It was a picture. The photo. My breath caught. It was my car. In the parking lot. Right next to the Porsche. From an angle I hadn't even noticed. Clear. Sharp. Undeniable. And right there. You could see it. My door. Touching his car. Message text. Below the image. Just one line. That didn't look accidental. Stress escalates. My hands tightened on the wheel. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. Someone had seen me. Someone had recorded it. And now, they were watching. Second call, more intense. The phone rang again. Another unknown number. I picked up immediately. Listen, I don't know what you want. You should relax, the same calm voice interrupted. That calmness? It made everything worse. What do you want? I snapped. A slight pause. Then, just making sure you get home safely. Anger versus fear. Stop calling me, I said louder now. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. His tone didn't change. Still calm. Still controlled. And somehow, that was more unsettling than if he had been angry. Third event, panic level. Then he said something that made everything freeze. You just passed the gas station on 5th, right? Full stop. My brain stopped. I looked around instinctively. That was exactly where I was. Exactly. How do you? I told you, he said quietly. I saw everything. Real fear now. This wasn't just someone who saw me in the parking lot. This was someone who knew where I was. In real time. Watching. Tracking. Or worse. Following. Desperate checking. I checked every mirror. Turned slightly in my seat. Looked at every car behind me. A black sedan. A white van. A motorcycle. Nothing stood out. But now, everything felt wrong. Final call before end. Why are you doing this? I asked, voice lower now. No response for a second. Then, because actions have consequences. The realization builds. And in that moment, everything started connecting. The Porsche. The parking. The photo. The calls. The timing. The calm voice. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. Realization cliffhanger. This wasn't just some angry car owner. No. This guy was prepared. Calculated. Watching. And that's when it hit me, you know that feeling. When something doesn't just go wrong. It starts unraveling everything? Yeah. That's exactly what this became. Short CTA. If you think this is just about a car, you're about to realize how wrong that is. The line stayed in my head. Over and over again. Actions have consequences. I kept driving, but I wasn't really focused on the road anymore. My eyes were moving. Mirror. Road. Mirror. Side mirror. Road again. Trying to find him. Trying to figure out where he was, or if he was even there at all. The silence that wasn't quiet. The call had ended, but it didn't feel over. It felt like something was still happening, like I was still in the middle of it. I turned down the radio completely. Didn't want noise. Didn't want distraction. Just needed to think. Trying to rationalize. Okay, think. Maybe he got my number from work somehow. Maybe someone saw me and told him. Maybe. No. That didn't explain how he knew where I was. In real time. That didn't explain the photo. That angle. That clarity. That timing. The phone again. Buzz. I flinched. Actually flinched. I hadn't even realized how tense I was until that moment. Another message. Different number. Again. I opened it slowly. Second photo. This one wasn't from the parking lot. This one was from the road. Frozen moment. My car. Driving. Captured from behind. Zoomed in just enough to make it obvious. My license plate. Crystal clear. Text below. You really should pay more attention. Reality slipping. I looked up immediately. Scanned the road. Checked every car again. Nothing. No one holding a phone. No one acting suspicious. No one looking at me. But the photo was real. Brain overload. How is that even possible? Was someone ahead of me? Behind me? Did they take it earlier? No. The angle. The position. That was seconds ago. Driving turns into survival. Now I wasn't just driving home. I was trying to escape something I didn't understand. I changed lanes suddenly. Turned without signaling once. Not because I wanted to. Because I wanted to see if anyone followed. No pattern. No one did. Or at least, no one obvious. And somehow, that made it worse. Another call, different tone. Phone rang again. This time I didn't hesitate. What do you want? I snapped. A pause. Then, a different voice. Female. Confused. Is this you? Shift in direction. What? My manager just showed me something, and I think it's you. My stomach tightened. What are you talking about? Another pause. Then she said, someone sent a video. Everything stops again. A video. Of course. Of course there was a video. Social damage begins. What video? I asked slowly. The parking lot, your car, the Porsche. My grip tightened again. It's already been shared in the office group. Internal drop. That hit harder than the calls. Harder than the messages. Because now, this wasn't just between me and him. This was public. Fear of exposure. Who sent it? I asked. I don't know, it just popped up in the group chat. No name. Just a number. Of course. Another unknown number. Reputation damage. You might want to check it, she added quietly. People are talking. Talking. That word felt heavier than anything else. Checking the group. I ended the call immediately. Opened the work group chat. And there it was. The video. Short clip. Clear angle. Perfect timing. Me. Squeezing between the cars. Opening the door. That first tap. Then the second. Then the stronger hit. All of it. Captured. No context. But here's the worst part. The video didn't show how close he parked. Didn't show his mistake. Didn't show the lack of space. Just me. Just my actions. Out of context. Looking intentional. Looking careless. Looking bad. Comments rolling in. Messages below it. Wow. Not cool. Whose car is that? That's messed up. People really don't care anymore. And then, someone tagged me. Direct hit. Isn't this you? Silence inside. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Didn't know what to say. because anything I said would sound like an excuse. Another call. Phone rang again. This time, my manager. Pressure builds. I hesitated, then answered. Hey, he started. Tone different. Serious. We need to talk about something. Dread. Yeah, I said quietly. I just saw the video. Of course he did. Authority enters. Can you explain what happened? Explain? How do you explain something like that? How do you explain a moment that even you weren't fully thinking through? Attempt to defend. He parked over the line, I said quickly. There wasn't space. That may be, he interrupted. But from what I see, you made contact. Multiple times. Cold reality. No emotion. No understanding. Just facts. From his perspective, it looked simple. Consequences expand. We'll need to review this formally, he continued. There may be a liability involved. Liability. That word echoed. Financial fear. Now it wasn't just embarrassment. Now it wasn't just stress. Now it was money. Damage. Responsibility. Call ends. Come in tomorrow early, he said. We'll discuss it. Click. Alone again. But worse. I lowered the phone slowly. Everything felt heavier now. Bigger. Out of control. Another message. Buzz. I almost didn't want to check it. But I did. New text. That escalated quickly. Anger rising. Who are you? I typed back. This time, there was a reply. Immediately, the reply. Someone who plans ahead. Pattern recognition. That line. That tone. That calm confidence. Same person. It had to be. Connecting dot. The video. The photos. The calls. The messages. The timing. This wasn't random harassment. This was orchestrated. And then another thought hit me. Harder than everything else. This guy didn't just record me. He didn't just expose me. He didn't just call me. He was controlling the situation. Step by step. Move by move. And I wasn't reacting anymore. I was responding to something already planned. I sat there in my car. Engine still running. Phone in my hand. Heart racing. And one thought finally became impossible to ignore. You ever replay something so many times that eventually you start seeing things you missed the first time? Yeah. That's where I was now. Stay with me, because this is the part where everything starts connecting. I was still sitting in my car. Engine running. Phone in my hand. That message still glowing on the screen. Someone who plans ahead. At first, it sounded like arrogance, like someone showing off. But the more I thought about it, the more it felt like a statement of fact. The shift. Up until that moment, I had been reacting, confused, panicked, trying to keep up. But now, something changed, because I realized, if this was planned, then nothing that had happened so far was random. Not the parking, not the recording, not the calls, not the timing. Rewinding the day, I leaned back in my seat, closed my eyes for a second, and started going backwards, step by step, from the moment I left work, all the way back to the morning. The parking spot revisited. I remembered how I parked. Carefully, deliberately, closer to the passenger side, giving myself space. That wasn't random. That was habit, routine, predictable. The Porsche, too perfect? Then I thought about his car. The Porsche. The way it was parked. Not slightly off. Not a careless mistake. It was precise. Too precise. It wasn't just over the line. It was placed in a way that forced one outcome. Controlled outcome. Me squeezing in. Me opening the door. Me making contact. First realization. That wasn't just bad parking. That was positioning. Morning detail. And then something hit me. A small detail. So small I almost missed it. That morning, when I parked, there had been another car nearby. A dark one. I didn't think much of it at the time. People come and go. But now, I tried to remember. Where was it parked? Angle. Distance. Position. It wasn't directly next to me. But it wasn't far either. And the angle. It had a clear line of sight to my spot. Uneasy thought. Was someone already there watching? I opened the video again. Paused it. Zoomed in. The angle wasn't random. It wasn't handheld chaos. It was steady. Intentional. Like the person knew exactly where to stand. Second realization. That means they weren't reacting to what I did. They were waiting for it. Timing. I checked the timestamp on the video. Right after my shift ended. Almost immediately. Too fast. Way too fast. The gap. There was no delay. No time for someone to notice, react, record, upload. It was instant. Third realization. Which means they already knew when I'd be there. Breathing slows. That thought changed everything. Because now it wasn't just about the parking lot. Now it was about me. Who knew my routine? I sat up straighter. Thinking. Who knew my schedule? My exact shift time? When I started. When I ended. Narrowing down. Coworkers. Managers. People at the company. Anyone who worked there. I opened the group chat again. Scrolled up. Looked at the number that posted the video. Unknown. But that didn't mean anything. Pattern recognition. Multiple numbers. Calls. Messages. Video. Photos. All different. All controlled. Professional feel. This wasn't messy. This wasn't emotional. This was organized. The voice. I replayed the voice in my head. Calm. Measured. Not angry. Not reactive. Just controlled. That kind of calm. That wasn't someone acting on impulse. That was someone executing something. And for the first time, the fear changed shape. Before it was panic. Now, it was understanding. This wasn't about revenge in the moment. This wasn't about someone getting mad at their car. This was about setting something up and waiting for me to fall into it. Regret creeps in. I looked at my hands, still slightly shaking, and I thought about that moment again. When I chose not to back out. When I chose not to go around. When I chose to push the door. Twice. The what if? What if I had just stopped? What if I had walked away? What if I had taken the passenger side instead? But it was too late. None of that mattered now. Because I didn't. And whoever this was, knew I wouldn't. The motive question. But why? That was the part that didn't fit. Why go through all this? For a minor car touch? For something that could have been handled in minutes? Something personal? Unless it wasn't about the car. Past interaction? I tried to think. Had I seen that Porsche before? Had I noticed it around the lot? Same car. Same color. Same position. Memory flicker. There was something. A moment. Days earlier. Maybe weeks. I couldn't fully place it. But it was there. Close call memory. I remembered pulling into the lot once. And someone honking. Sharp. Aggressive. I had brushed it off. Didn't even look properly. Was that him? Was that the same person? Was this building over time? Paranoia versus logic. I didn't know anymore. And that uncertainty made everything worse. Another message. Buzz. I froze again. Slowly looked down. New message. Same style. No name. Message content. You're getting closer. Direct hit. My chest tightened. He knew. He knew I was figuring it out. Psychological pressure. This wasn't just physical anymore. This was mental. He wasn't just showing me things. He was guiding me. Pushing me. Watching how I reacted. That's when it really hit me. I wasn't in control of anything anymore. Not the situation. Not the narrative. Not even my own reactions. Final pieces start aligning. The parking. The positioning. The timing. The recording. The exposure. The calls. The tracking. The messages. One conclusion. All of it pointed to one thing. High tension stop. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't even revenge in the normal sense. This was something designed, built step by step, for one purpose. And I was right in the middle of it, just seconds away from understanding exactly who was behind it and why. You know that moment, when everything finally clicks, and instead of relief, you feel something worse? Yeah. That's where this ends. Watch till the end. Because the truth behind this? It's not what you think. I stared at that last message. You're getting closer. And for the first time, I didn't feel confused. I felt certain. Because the answer wasn't out there anymore. It was already in my head. The final piece. I opened the video again. Watched it slowly. Paused at the beginning. Looked at the background. Zoomed in. And that's when I saw it. In the window of the Porsche, there was a reflection. Faint. Almost invisible. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. The figure. A person. Standing at a distance. Holding something. Phone or maybe a camera. But the important part wasn't the device. It was where they were standing. Position matters. Not random. Not hidden poorly. It was the exact spot where they could see both cars perfectly. Flashback, morning car. That dark car from the morning. The one I barely noticed. The one parked at an angle. Clicked. Same position. Same line of sight. Same setup. The truth emerges. He was there before me. Watching. Waiting. Not hoping something would happen, but knowing it would. Why me? And then the final question answered itself. Not because I suddenly remembered him, but because I remembered myself. Brutal realization. My habits, my routine, my stress, my reactions. Predictable. I wasn't random. I was predictable. He didn't need to force anything. He didn't need to confront me. He didn't need to argue. All he had to do was create a situation where I would make the mistake myself. Watch my routine. Learn when I arrive, when I leave. Wait for the right day. When I'm tired, frustrated, distracted. Park deliberately wrong. Not careless, but precise. Force a decision. Make me choose the easier, worse option. Record everything. From the perfect angle. Release it strategically. Calls, messages, pressure, exposure. He never touched me. Never confronted me. Never argued. Because everything that happened, I did. I leaned forward in my seat. Hands covering my face. Breathing heavier now. Because it finally sank in. There was no defense. No excuse. No way to spin it. Acceptance begins. From the outside, it looked simple. A guy damaging someone's car. Caught on video. And that's exactly what it was. Because intention doesn't matter when the action is clear. Final message. Buzz. I slowly lowered my hands, looked at the phone. One last message. The endgame text. You see it now. No denial left. I didn't reply. Didn't argue. Didn't ask anything. Because there was nothing left to ask. Silence returns. No more calls. No more messages. No more photos. That was it. Just like that. It stopped. The next morning, I went to work early. Earlier than usual. Not for parking. For the meeting. My manager, HR. A printed screenshot of the video. Formal tone. Measured words. We've reviewed the footage. Regardless of context. Physical contact was made. Warning. Potential liability. Insurance involvement. Reputation damage. Coworkers looked at me differently. Some avoided eye contact. Some whispered. Some just watched. Isolation. And the worst part? No one asked my side. Because the video was enough. The parking lot again. Later that day, I walked back to the parking lot. Same rows. Same spaces. Same silence. But different feeling. Everything felt different. Heavier. Like something had changed permanently. Gone. Of course it was. He never needed to stay. He already got what he wanted. Final thought about him. I never saw him. Never got his name. Never had a face. But I understood him. Calm. Patient. Calculated. And smarter than me. Because he didn't react to a problem. He created one. That night, sitting at home, I kept replaying everything again. But differently this time. It wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about control. He controlled the situation. He controlled the narrative. He controlled the outcome. And I played my part perfectly. Without even knowing it. Eventually, the noise faded. The stress settled. The calls stopped. The messages ended. But this time, it felt different. Heavier. More permanent. Sometimes, it's not the big mistakes that ruin you. It's the small ones. Made at the wrong moment. In front of the right person. If this story made you think, hit like. If you've ever had a moment you wish you could take back, comment below. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe, because the next one might be even crazier.